What is up, everybody? Welcome to the dungeon. I'm doing your tarot reading for the next week. Keep in mind, these readings are general, they may not resonate with everybody. What I'll be doing is I'll be pulling 2 cards for each zodiac sign. One will represent the general energy of the week, and then the other will represent the love energy of the week. Because most people come to tarot, they want to know about love, but not everybody has love in their life, so it's good to have a little insight on life as well. Let's go ahead and get started with Aries. What is going on with Aries over the next week? What kind of energy will Aries encounter? What's going on with my Aries? Okay, we have the Knight of Swords. So, just in general, you may be, I want to say cranky, but I don't know if that's the right word. Bitchy, maybe. I don't know if that's the right word either, but it's probably closer to it. Because, you're just an asshole. That's what you're just, that's the vibe you're carrying right now. Whether you're in a good mood or a bad mood, just the way you are expressing yourself is giving that vibe. People are perceiving it that way, whether you mean it that way or not. So this could potentially lead to misunderstandings that lead to arguments, which, you low-key love. But, just be careful because the other people may not. They may be more sensitive. They may take things a lot more seriously than you do. So just kind of try to be aware that there may be consequences to the things that you are saying. But you know what? I kind of feel like even if you do have that awareness, you're not going to care. You don't give a fuck. Just saying. Some of you are going to become extremely focused and driven on goals, that you have. Um, yeah, you're still trying to enjoy, I want to say, your youth and, and freedom. But I know not everybody is young that may be watching it. I mean, who knows? Somebody who's like 70 may wander in here, But I just think that while you still have your vitality, there we go. You want to embrace that and whatnot, and kind of not take life for granted, enjoy the little things, but at the same time, that is why you're so determined to go after what it is that you want. You may have, just extremely focused vision at this time and don't really care about anything else. So, like, you don't care about anybody's feelings, really. Like, if they get their feelings hurt, well, that's on them. They shouldn't be so sensitive. That may be the vibe you're carrying. Okay, let's see what's going on in your love life. What's going on in your love life, Aries? Okay, in regards to your love life, Aries, you have the Ace of Wands. So you may be feeling very, very frisky at this time. I don't think that you are necessarily looking for love right now or thinking about love right now. You are thinking about passion. You are thinking about hooking up. Whether you're single or not, so like you and your partner may have a very active period this week, or maybe you are just feeling really horned up. Whether you go out and hook up with somebody or not, you're feeling that way. Some of you may actually go out, meet new people, etc., etc. Others of you who are already committed, you're going to have like a rush of new energy in your relationship, whereas like maybe y'all were stagnant for a little bit and kind of meh, now you're going to like have this new more, I guess, adventurous spirit. It's just there's going to be a new vibe that comes in with your relationship that's a little bit more playful. Okay. Because again, you're trying to enjoy vitality. You're trying not to take things too seriously. Um, but again, I think you should be a little vigilant in regards to, your mouth, because you start popping off and you don't necessarily hear the way you sound to other people. So you could be like quick to pop off to whomever you're seeing. I don't feel like um, this is going to be a very emotional period right now. I feel like there is going to be a little bit more of a guard that's put up. Um, you may not be as expressive in regards to your emotions and your feelings. But physically, yeah, you're going to be expressive. Or you want to be, you know? All right. What is up, Funky Uncle? Welcome. Good to see you. Welcome, everybody else. Let's move on to Taurus. All right. Taurus, what is going on with Taurus over the next week? What kind of energy will Taurus encounter over the next week? What's going on with my Taurus? Okay, we have the Eight of Wands. So you are ready to move forward. You're ready to go. Some of you may be having stalls, but you're ready to move forward. Others of you, it's happening very quickly, and going along a little bit smoother, than you expected. So don't be jealous if you're not the one where it's going along smoother for. There's a reason. There's a delay there, whether you like the reason or not. Try not to get too upset when things don't happen as quickly as you want them to. There may be some very important conversations being had in regards to this. Like in some situations, the situation, whatever's going on here needs to be discussed before you can actually move forward. So that may be the delay. But this conversation is necessary for clarity moving forward. If you try to jump the gun, it's going to bite you in the ass. So let's see what's going on in your love life, Taurus. What's going on in Taurus's love life over the next week? What kind of energy will Taurus encounter in their love life over the next week? Taurus, you have the Three of Cups. So you may be going out and having fun with your partner or your friends, trying to meet new people. You're just trying to really appreciate and enjoy this time that you have right now. Some of you may be kind of making up after having a difficult time with your partner, or possibly reuniting if there has been a separation of some sort. And that, of course, is worth celebrating. But I will say there are some of you that you really want to resolve a situation with somebody that you care deeply about. But there needs to be a conversation. There needs to be a conversation of some sort for that to even happen, and the conversation is not happening. So that could be extremely, extremely frustrating to you. So you may be dealing with that this week. Just got to be patient, but it can be really hard sometimes, right? All right, moving on to Gemini. Awesome, Funky. Welcome, Sarah. Cheers, Funky, cheers. All right, let's see what's going on with my Geminis. What kind of energy will Gemini encounter over the next week? What is going on with Gemini? Okay, you have the Five of Pentacles. So you may be having a rough week. You may be feeling like an underdog or an outsider. You may be dealing with feelings of rejection. Right now, you feel like there is something or there are things that you don't have, and you may be having um, a bit of a pity party. And don't get me wrong, it may very well be deserved. Don't take me saying a pity party is a negative connotation. It kind of has that negative connotation. I guess that's why I clarified on that. But sometimes it's legit. Sometimes you're in a very, very difficult situation, and it's okay to just feel bad about yourself and what's going on in your life, because you know you I mean, it's a way of self-care, because you're acknowledging your own emotions and validating them, if you will. um, but it can get dangerous. There is a fine line between allowing yourself to go through those feelings and just really, really wallowing in that party. It's not that fun, you guys. Leave the party. um, when you can honor your feelings, feel your feelings, but leave the party. And I think you will. I think that the way you feel now is going to put you in a position where you're like, I have to do something about this. I have to do something about this. I have to change this somehow. Like, it can't be this way anymore. It can't live this way anymore. Like, something has to give. Something needs to change. So you may be trying to, or me, be doing research or taking steps to change your current situation, because it's just not, you're not satisfied. This is not the way you want to live your life right now. And honestly, there may be other people in your life that are inspiring, because perhaps you thought you wanted to live your life one way, and then um, you meet other people and they remind you of what you really want in life, like your true desires. Like, you may be kind of fulfilling society's expectations up to this point, and perhaps you meet some people who are not living life on those terms, and you may be like, oh, okay, I kind of want to be like that. Like that's how I want to live my life. So you may be realizing you don't have what you want out of life. This is not what you want from your life, but it's going to be a trigger to lead you to take steps to um, get to where you do want to be in your life, to start to live it the way you would like to. Okay, let's see what's going on in your love life, Gemini. What's going on with my Geminis and their love lives? Let's see what's up, Gemini. Okay, Gemini, you have the Ten of Pentacles in regards to your love life. So I think that with some of you, you're in a situation where you are committing to somebody, or you feel very safe and stable with them. You can count on them through thick and thin. Whether times are good or bad, like, they got your back. Um, some of you, like, this is something that you have a deep longing for that you don't have. This may be that thing that you feel like you don't have. Perhaps you've lived your life as a single person and thought that that's the way you always wanted to live your life, but now you're starting to realize, okay, well, maybe I do want a family. Or perhaps the other way around. Although if you have a family and always wanted to be single, you can't really just not have a family unless you do something super shitty. Um, but in those situations, it's really a matter of finding yourself, who you really are in your life. Kind of like one of those situations, even if you don't have an empty nest, kind of imagine that you do and find what it is out of life that you enjoy and make a point to inject it into your life. Um, I feel like some of y'all's families could be expanding, or maybe you might be having difficulty doing so. I kind of feel like you and your partner may be having a difficult time, like just in general, as a collective experience, not necessarily, um, well, yeah, collectively. Like there could be a lot of difficult things going on in life, and it's really starting to affect the stability of your relationship. But I think that's something that you're starting to become aware of. And again, like this awareness will initiate change. It will initiate action for you to change the situation so that you can get where you want to be. Or you are in a place where you can get there. You know, like even if you're not automatically there, like sometimes we're not even in a place where we can be on the road to get there. Sometimes there's a certain goal or whatever or milestone that we need to reach before we can even go down that path, which can be very frustrating if you don't know what that is. Okay, moving on, Gemini. Moving on. I gotta move on. Let's move on to my Cancers. Let's see what's going on with Cancer over the next week. What kind of energy will Cancer encounter over the next week? What is going on with my Cancers? Let's see. What's up, Cancer? All right. We have the Magician. So I kind of feel like this carries a very similar vibe to what I just described with Gemini. Um, it's similar but different. It's like you're already in the process of developing what you want, working to manifest these things. It's not the idea stage. You're in the process of making it happen. Whether it's actually happening now or again, you're in that process, you're moving towards that goal, basically. Um, some of you may have been kind of lost. I kind of feel like some of you may have been a little bit lost, and you really had to kind of go within to really find yourself and find direction in life. Perhaps you don't know your destination, but you do know the direction now, and you're going in that direction. You're going down that path. You don't know what to expect, but you're going down it anyways. You're trying to make changes in your life. It's so important to you to make these changes. Um, this is definitely a major period, like a very, very important period in your life in general, and again, grand scheme of your life. All right. So don't take things lightly, but don't take them too seriously either. Just kind of try to trust the universe and go with the flow while simultaneously making things happen. Do what you need to do and have faith it'll work out, basically. All right, let's see what's going on in your love life, Cancer. What's going on in Cancer's love life over the next week? Okay, Cancer, you have the Two of Pentacles. So, with the Two of Pentacles, you may be very confused about some things in your relationship or even potentially about having a relationship. If you're single, this is something you're not sure you even want. So, you're trying to figure that out. Like, do I want to have a relationship? Do I want to, make a commitment to somebody, to live my life with them, or do I want to do this on my own? Um, there may be some of you who are seeing multiple people. Trifling, Cancer, trifling. But I guess it's only really trifling if you're sneaking around and sneaking behind somebody's back who you are committed to, or is under the impression that there is a commitment, but like if you are dating people, I mean, and there you have no commitment to anybody, I mean, like, are you really doing anything wrong? You're dating, you're not committed. So it may actually hurt some people's feelings who um don't date multiple people at the same time. Let's just say that. But you're not, some of you are being very honest about it. If you are honest about, you know, dating multiple people, then you're not being trifling because you're being honest. Um, unless you take advantage of somebody and continue to hurt them, even though you're being honest. Um, that could turn very negative very fast. Um, you should definitely be careful with that because you could lose your bottom bitch. I'm just saying, like, the one that means the most to you, that you really care the most about, like, they may figure out what's going on and just not be about it. They may decide they don't want to be in a situation like that and just move on. So you need to be careful about this and decide, like, you maybe need to make a decision about who you're going to be with, because it may be you may be getting attached to one person more than the other, and if you're not careful, you will lose that person, basically. So don't BS around too long. um, yeah, some of you are just very confused about some things that are going on in your relationship, and you need clarity that you don't have, unfortunately. Not this week anyway. Oh, it's 3 here. Well, 3:23 now. I see you sent that a while ago. Cheers again though. All right, moving on to my Leos. What is going on with Leo over the next week? What kind of energy will Leo encounter? What is going on with Leo? I just need one card, okay? All right, let's get a card for the energy that Leo will encounter this week. Leo, you have the Queen of Wands. When I see the Queen of Wands, I always think Leo, whether it's got to do with Leo or not. I always think Leo because I think maybe the sunflower does it. But it's fire. It's fiery vibes. And Leo is a fire sign. And it's a queen. And Leo is royalty. So I always think about Leo. Because not only are those things true, but you're very, very confident. You're feeling confident. Okay, there may be some of you who are struggling with your confidence, and this is highlighting that that's something that you need to work on. You need to work on your self-respect and giving yourself credit. for things, and seeing yourself as who you truly are, the amazing person you truly are, as opposed to the person that life and other people have led you to believe you are. But others of you, you're feeling great about yourself. You're confident. You're not afraid to express yourself. You're not afraid to go after what you want. Just people like to be around you. They like talking to you. You're in a talkative mood. Very social. This is like very Leo vibes. If you know anything about the zodiac sign Leo, it's very very Leo vibes. Um, all right, let's see what's going on in your love life, Leo. Because it's looking like you're going to be feeling pretty fine in general, feeling good about yourself. I can tell you right away before I even get a card out for your love life, you will be getting people's attention. Um, Okay, we have the Eight of Pentacles here. So you're at a point where you need to decide whether or not you want to work on this relationship. Work on this relationship in terms of working through some difficulties, or in terms of working on building a new relationship. It's time to make that decision. Um, I feel like you're probably going to be inclined to make the situation work, to put the work in. I feel like you really will be doing that. Because you have confidence in yourself. You feel good about yourself, and you feel good about the potential success that can come from working on this relationship, be it through a difficult time or building upon something new. Moving on. Sorry that was so fast, Leo. It's just pretty straight to the point. Pretty straight to the point. It's not personal. It's just sometimes the message is short, sometimes it's long. All right, let's move on to Virgo. What is going on with Virgo over the next week? What kind of energy will Virgo encounter? I just need one card, please. Let's get a card for Virgo. Let's see what's going on with Virgo over the next week. All right, Virgo. You have the Ace of Pentacles. So some of you may be offered a new opportunity, perhaps a job. Some of you may be deciding to take a class, perhaps enroll in college. Well, I guess it's not enrollment period unless you are transferring, But I think enrollment usually, well, no, actually, I think that just in general, like say if you're in high school, that around now is the time that one would like put out college applications and stuff like that. So some of y'all may be doing that, maybe filling out some financial aid assistance, um, paperwork, trying to get a loan. Um, you're really trying to grow in your life right now. You're really trying to build a life for yourself, build some sort of success. Um, Perhaps up to this point, you haven't really taken things so seriously, um, but now you are. Or perhaps things haven't seemed to be going so well, and then you just suddenly have a chance for things to turn around and go in a different direction. Um, I feel like some of you may decide not to do this. I'm not entirely sure why. You have your reasons. You know what they are, and they are different for each Virgo out there. But some of you may not, what you are being offered may not be for you. This may not be something you really want. You have the opportunity to have it. You have an opportunity to learn from this situation, but you don't know if you want to take it. Some of you, you're just like, I don't know. I don't know if I do this. Perhaps you're trying to decide whether or not to move on from a particular situation and just rebuilding. Some of you may be actually in the process of rebuilding. All right, let's see what's going on in your love life, Virgo. What kind of energy will you encounter in your love life? Virgo, you have the Chariot. Some of you are moving on. You're moving on from a difficult period in a relationship. You're moving on from a difficult relationship. Some of you actually, you just may be going on a road trip with your spouse, or you may be traveling. I think if you are moving away from a relationship, you may be feeling open to a fling, in which case I think that you may end up having an opportunity to have something more serious with somebody. But I don't know if that's something that you really want, because you're just, I feel like I gotta say, you're trying to move on from a situation. Some of you are actually moving on, some of you are working to do this. And so if somebody were to come along that actually wanted something serious right now, no matter how much in alignment they may be with you, it's not something that you're really open to right now. And the other person could potentially get hurt. So my suggestion is, if you find yourself dealing with somebody like that, just be honest about where you are so they can make the decision whether or not they want to stick around or leave. It's just give them the decision. Right now, you're in a place where you're trying to move beyond the difficult things that have happened in the past, the issues that you have and that you're carrying. You're trying to move beyond this. And that is your primary focus, basically. That's your primary focus. You'd like to get laid in the meantime, but if somebody comes along that wants something more than that, you're not sure if that's something that you would want, basically. But yeah, some of you are having a chance to move forward and grow in your relationship after having a very difficult period. And you may just kind of be going out and doing things together, like it was, I mentioned like traveling together. So yeah, you may be traveling, like going random places. Maybe you might randomly go to one city one weekend and then like the next month go somewhere else, weekend. I'm talking about the next week though. Okay, well, you and your partner may be going on a little trip. Or you could be planning one. Either way, travel is involved. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, Libra. What is going on with Libra over the next week? What kind of energy will Libra encounter over the next week? I'm tired. We have justice. So, Libra, I know it's really hard. I know it's really, really hard, but it's time to make a decision. It's time to make a choice. You have to. You have to. I kind of feel like this is a situation where if you do not make the choice, life will make it for you. And you may not be ready to live with the consequences of your inaction, because it's one thing to go with the flow of the universe, and it's another to just not do anything. to stay in a place because you don't know where you want to go. You know, it's different. So you have a choice between the two, basically. That's one of the things you have to choose between. You have to choose between doing that about a choice. Like I said, I know this is going to be hard for you, but it's time. Um, Try to be as reasonable as possible without completely shutting yourself off from empathy or emotion, because it's going to be through balancing both that you will find the right decision. You keep doubting yourself, and I think that's what's making it harder, your doubt. You may be giving too much to your mind, and so things are off balance. It's like, instead of it being like this heart mind, it's like this, and until you find that balance, you won't be able to truly kind of be able to make a good decision about things. All right, let's see what's going on in your love life, Libra. What's going on in Libra's love life? Libra, some of you may be dealing with a very difficult relationship right now. You or your partner may, or both of you, may be indulging in some extremely toxic behaviors, um, you know, self-medicating, basically, dealing with some addictions. Typically, where there is addiction, there is conflict between people who are close to each other. And it's gotten to the point where it's like, it's decision time. It's now or never. You need to decide whether or not, this is a should I stay or should I go? Go listen to the Ramones, to kind of help you decide. Um, I think some of you feel trapped. I think some of you may be feeling trapped in your relationship, be it you're stuck with a partner or things aren't moving forward. Um, you feel tied to this situation. You feel like you have no choice in this situation, but you do. It's just hard for you to see that right now because you're so caught up in the destruction and how that affects you mentally and emotionally. It makes it hard for you to see clearly with this. Some of you are just like obsessing. Whether you're single or not, you are just obsessing over your partner and you can't stop thinking about them. You just spending time with them, getting intimate with them. You are just completely wrapped up in them. And it's to the point where you're not fully seeing them. You're seeing them, but you're not seeing everything yet because you're just so caught up in those positive feelings and positive emotions, or just the obsession, just in general. There are just some things that you may not know about this person, or you may not have noticed about them before, because you're just so deeply attracted to them, physically, emotionally, and mentally, just all the way around. And in some cases, this could blind you to the fact that this person is toxic as fuck. Oh, they're just a little moody. Not if they're blowing up all the time over everything. They're just a little moody. I mean, yeah, people have moods. It's just how you react to them and how you handle them that really, really matter. basically. So if you're in a situation where this person is taking out their moods on you, you need to remove yourself from the situation. If you are the one that is doing that, you need to check yourself and stop doing that, or you're going to lose your partner. Whether you actually lose them or they become a ghost of who they used to be in your relationship. This is very touchy period in regards to your love life, because you may also be falling victim, quote unquote, to your negative relationship patterns. So there needs to be, you need to have a very sober look at yourself and your situation before you can make your decision. All right. What do you mean? Do I have? What do you mean by this? Elaborate. Do you mean interpreting the sign when it's my personal sign? Is that what you mean? All right. Let's move on to Scorpio. What is going on with Scorpio over the next week? What kind of energy will Scorpio encounter? Okay, we have the Temperance. So you are trying to get back to a place of balance. Perhaps you've been a little bit out of control with your emotions lately, and you're just like you're not really trying to get control over your emotions, even though you are. It's more so to a place of balance, because there are positives and negatives to everything in life. I'm the type of person that kind of, I don't have a philosophy or religion, don't really like talking about those things, but just the symbolism of the yin and the yang, the dark and the light, the negativity and the positive energy. It's in everything. There are positive negatives to everything, basically, and what one should strive for is to find that balance between the positive and negative. Again, what I was just talking about in regards to Libra's indecision. It's like if you are too much on one side or the other side, it's just not going to be that great. You got to find a place of balance, basically. And that's where you are. You are either at that place or getting to that place, which is a relief because your emotions are so deep, you feel them so deeply, it can be extremely overwhelming. But I feel like you're finally starting to like get your feet back on the ground after all of this. And even if you're having a hard time doing it, still you're doing it, and that's what matters the most. Okay, let's see what is going on in your love life, Scorpio. What is going on in Scorpio's love life? Queen of Pentacles. So you may be involved with somebody who is very nurturing, very stable, very loyal. And so you guys are just kind of really, really happy with where your relationship is right now and where you are going. If there has been instability, again, you're getting back into balance and y'all are moving forward, y'all are progressing instead of regressing. Now, there are others of you who do not have a partner who may be focusing on your career. You may be focusing on your career, providing for yourself, and getting to a stable place to where you can be a healthy partner in the future. Right now, you may be aware of the fact that if you were in a relationship right now, you probably wouldn't be the best partner. And so you may be taking the steps and striving to get to that place where you feel like you're in a good mental state um, to be with somebody, because you if you get to a point where you really want to be with somebody, you don't want to self-sabotage the relationship. And that's what it comes down to. You want to get to a place where you do not self-sabotage, basically. And right now you may just not feel like you're quite at that level of stability in regards to your self-worth. Yeah, your self-worth. So, all right. Let's move on to my Saggy. Yes and no. Yes and no. It helps me to understand things a little bit more, but more from like an empathetic perspective than a, oh, this is me. Sagittarius. Let's see what's going on with you, Sagittarius. What kind of energy will Sagittarius encounter over the next week? Yeah, like even if I understand it, I still detach because I'm reading for other people. And also, just in general, when readers kind of read for themselves, it's just not the same. It's just not the same. So, all right, Sagittarius, what kind of energy will you encounter over the next week? What's going on with my Saggies? Okay, we have the Ace of Wands. So, Sagittarius, you may be having a lot of energy, a lot of positivity this week, or others of you may be struggling to have these things. So, that would suck, but either way, you have a lot of ideas that are coming in. Be whether it happens immediately or you kind of have a hard time. Like you may be struggling with some of you may be struggling with a little block. You might have a little trouble getting started, but then once you get going, you're going. And I know this is just general energy, but typically Ace of Wands represents kind of being highly sexed, You're horny, you want to get some. All right, let's see what's going on in your love life, Sagittarius. That's just general. So let's see what's going on in your love energy. What's going on with Sagittarius's love energy? Justice. So it's time to make a choice, it's time to make a decision about your relationship, your partnership. Again, we find that we need the balance of the mind. I feel like that may be the theme this week because generally it's all the same general energy that we experience, you guys. It's just in our own individual ways. And it seems like the theme that's echoing up to this point is it's time to make a decision. It's time to get to a place of balance so we can see things clearly. That's where you are. Either you are actively making the choice this week or you're like actively like coming to the final decision, or you are considering your options so that you can come to your final decision about something that's going on in the relationship. This could be the status of a relationship, but this could also be something like as simple as you and your partner coming into agreement about something you got to do, or something like moving forward. Like maybe if you're moving into a home, or signing some sort of contract and whatnot, come into making a decision about that. You could be making a personal decision about your relationship. You could be making it collectively with your partner. Um, And I think those of you who may be single, you may be at a point where it's like, up to this point, you may have been very pleasure oriented, um, but you're at a point where you kind of got to decide whether or not you actually want to connect with somebody. Perhaps you've got people you've been seeing, but again, this is like scenario seven with somebody else, isn't it? It's like you have somebody that you're starting to have feelings for more than the other people, and it's time to make a decision, because it's like, yeah, you may end up losing the one you really care about if you keep fucking around, basically. Um, but even if you don't have anybody, you may be just in general, kind of getting to the point where you're deciding whether or not you want to settle down with somebody, or just kind of continue to live an independent life, moving forward. Just one of those people who are solo and just hooking up randomly and moving on, and just one of those types of people. You're trying to decide what you want to do. All right, moving on to Aquarius. Wait, Capricorn. I have the banners out of place here, so I'm going to have to redo that because I keep messing myself up with that. All right, Capricorn, let's see what's going on with my Cappies over the next weekend. What kind of energy will Capricorn encounter over the next week? What is going on with strength? So right now you may not be talking a whole lot about anything of depth. Keeping it calm, cool, collected, shallow. I'm not saying you're shallow. I'm just saying you're keeping it shallow with other people. You're keeping it at surface level with other people that you interact with. Um, you're dealing with a lot of stuff, I think, emotionally. Be it like external circumstances or just stuff you're going through internally, or one triggering the other. Either way, you're trying to keep things under control. You're trying to maintain balance. Here we are again. Yeah, you're trying to maintain control. You're trying not to lose your fucking mind, basically. I mean, basically, you're just trying not to lose your fucking mind. You feel good about yourself. You feel confident in who you are. And your abilities, but at the same time your mind can just really get carried away with itself, and you know that it can get in the way sometimes, and that's why you're just trying to like and kind of keep detached, keep your emotions under control. You don't want to be ruled by or fueled by your emotions. Just in general, that's not your style, but I think you're having a harder time doing that now. Like I think you may be having a difficult time emotionally. And so it's harder for you. For some reason, the situation is harder for you to deal with than others. It's harder for you to detach from, if you will. All right, let's see what's going on in your love life, Capricorn. What kind of energy will Capricorn encounter over in their love life over the next week? Okay, Capricorn, we have Six of Swords. You're trying to move on. This could be from a difficult period in your relationship or from a difficult relationship. You're trying to learn from your past mistakes. Um, I feel like you have really said and done some things in the past that have gotten in the way of you truly connecting with somebody, and you may have lost that person as a result, and you want to make a conscious effort to be different moving forward. Um, in some instances, you know, you you may be finally learning from these past mistakes, you and your partner, because it may not all just be on you. Maybe you were just both at certain periods of your life where you were both being immature and inconsiderate, and you're trying to learn from that and grow from that because you really care about each other. um, some of you are having a hard time moving on. Some of you are having a hard time moving on. Some of you are having a hard time letting go of the past. And because all of the things that have happened, perhaps you're having a hard time controlling or being able to see clearly, because of the way you feel about these things. And again, this kind of goes back to trying not to lose your fucking mind. You're trying to stay grounded and learn from the struggle, so there's not as much struggle moving forward. And I think that's very important to keep in mind. If you have never thought about lessons that need to be learned, like if that has not crossed your mind until I just said this just now, it needs to cross your mind. You need to try to take a moment to reflect on things that have happened in your past relationship, or your past relationships, just the way you interacted with people in general. There needs to be some time for you to be honest with yourself, and that's the only way you can truly learn from your mistakes, is being extremely honest with yourself about what's going on, what your role, the role you have played, the way you've interacted, and how that's been counterproductive. you know Aquarius, you're good. All right. Not a downer, you're good. All right, let's see what's going on. Aquarius, what's going on in your world over the next week? What kind of energy will Aquarius encounter over the next week? What is going on with Aquarius? Temperance. Again. Balance. Again. So just kind of starting to bounce back from feeling really shitty, from going through a very difficult time. You're starting to bounce back. You're not going to let it hold you down. You're not going to let it keep you down. Let's see what's going on in your love life, Aquarius. And whatever you're dealing with right now, you're dealing with it with grace. All right, let's see what's going on in your love life, Aquarius. Well, for the most part, grace. We have the King of Swords, so you may I don't know, perhaps you're coming off in a very dignified manner. Even if you are hurt, by somebody, you don't allow it to bring you out of your character. You hold your head high and move on, basically. So if there has been a situation with somebody has gone awry, you're not going to take it personal. You're not going to let it drag you down. You're just going to move on. You're just going to shut off, block if you're that type of person, and completely sever communication and just move on. Some of you may be feeling extremely detached from your partner for some reason. Or you may be coming off that way. Perhaps your partner sees you as a bit cold and detached. But really, I feel like you're a very dedicated partner. I feel like you're generally the type of person that someone can count on. You handle responsibilities, you fight the battles, you show up. You may not show love, but you show up, and that's how you show love. Um, but perhaps you have not really cared so much about showing up lately, and that has been causing conflict. So it's time to get to a place where you decide whether or not you care enough. Because if you care enough, you'll put in the effort to make the relationship work, to continue to make it work, because that's the dedication and loyalty you have here. But I think there may be other situations where you may need to sever ties with this person in order for you to feel like yourself again. You may have been losing yourself with this person, and you're starting to detach from them because you're starting to realize that. And it's not worth it to you. Now that you're starting to see what's going on, it's not worth it to you. You are happier being yourself, even if you weren't happy. Like, even if you're the type of person, that struggles with your emotions and, being happy in life, you were still happier then than you are now. It's kind of like, you'd rather get back to that. So yeah, some of you may be completely detaching and severing ties with somebody, your partner, or no longer partner. Okay, and last but most certainly not least, Pisces. What's going on with Pisces? What kind of energy will Pisces encounter over the next week? What is going on with Pisces? Pisces, you have the Queen of Swords. At this point, you are attempting to detach from your emotions. You need to be more intellectual about the situation. Typically, you are very emotion driven. That you are detaching from that right now. That's another vibe. Well, no, most of it is balanced, but with here you're detaching more. You're leaning more towards the side of logic and reasoning and intellect. This is not to say that people who are emotional are not intelligent. No, that's not at all. It's just saying that some people um, who are super intelligent don't have very much emotion, or they don't express it very well because they don't know how to feel it. If that makes sense. Some of you may be there. Some of you may be on that vibe I just described. Feel like you've been through a lot of difficult things, and you are gaining a better understanding of yourself, of your life, of where you've been and where you're going. You're starting to see how everything is interconnected, and you may be kind of doing more research on stuff like that. You may be kind of doing more research on synchronicity and like maybe past lives, just all the ways that people are interconnected. Um, just kind of doing more research and stuff like that that you never really considered before, maybe because of the way you were raised. But now you're detaching yourself from all those feelings that you have because of the way you were raised, so that you can actually learn about things from an objective point of view, without judgment or fear. Do not be afraid of the knowledge. Do not be afraid of the fruit of knowledge. Okay, let's see what is going on in your love life. What's going on in your love life, Pisces? What kind of energy will Pisces encounter in their love life? Okay, you have the Three of Pentacles. So you're at a point whether or not where you got to decide whether or not you are going to work through this situation with your partner, and continue to nurture the relationship, or let go. Again, you don't want to be consumed by your emotion. You don't want it to blind you to the reality of the situation and this person. This is something that you've fallen victim to many times before, and you don't want to let it happen again. Some of you may have recently met somebody and you guys are getting to know each other, kind of laying down the groundwork of potentially building a relationship. And some of you may be just kind of really working on yourselves, working to better yourselves and your relationship skills so that you can be a better partner in the future. So I feel like there are a lot of messages that were very similar throughout this reading, but again, same energy, different experiences. I do want to kind of address this again now in regards to me reading cards, especially when I'm doing zodiac signs. Because again, it's like it helps me understand it more on an empathetic level. Like if it's something that I may be experiencing, like okay, I understand it because I feel that way too, but I stay detached from it for the most part. Um, it's easy in general, but especially with signs, because we are not all one zodiac sign. And I always take into consideration when I look at like astrology stuff or zodiac tarot readings, I take into consideration my moon and rising sign, which sometimes I tell you guys to do, because those can actually, sometimes we can identify more with those than our actual sun sign, which is the one that's most commonly known. So, yeah. I just felt like I wanted to clarify on that a little bit more, because it is something that I definitely think about when it comes to the way I do my readings, and have wondered about with other people too. So, all right, those are the readings for the next week. I hope they resonate for accuracy purposes, and I will talk to y'all again next week. All right, you guys?